Greetings friends, Jared here with another review from Fanboys Forever, and today we're going to be having a look at the brand new hero hacks, Zorro and Tornado. This is from their line Hero and Steed, and I'm really excited about this line because we're going to get characters, old pulp characters like the Phantom, like Zorro, who actually includes their famous horses as well. And for Zorro, in my personal opinion, the most famous horse in all of fiction, just to me, is Tornado. That's right, good old tornado to us, I guess. But I will be saying Tornado as we go through the review, just because that's what Zorro always says it. But you can see all the cool ornamentation on the horse. You can see that we get a new version of the Zorro that they have just released in the basic series. And if you haven't checked that review out yet, please do so. I do have a link in the description below if you want to check out that standard Zorro. There's some big differences with this one, and I can't wait to get into all of that. So let's look at the packaging a little bit. We can see that Zorro here is just packaged with Tornado. Looks really nice on this side. On this side, we can see a cool shot of Zorro actually riding Tornado. Talks about the display stand. And on the back, we have an extended bio of what we got on the original release with some brand new artwork as well. And this art is just absolutely gorgeous. This is really great. And I believe the art for the original release and this one are by an artist named Tai Romsa. So hopefully I pronounced that correctly. But really great artwork. I don't know if he's done like some Zorro comic stuff or what. We can see down here that we just have a picture of the other release, the standard release. And at the bottom, and I really appreciate that they do this, it actually has a list of credits. And I do feel like that on more figures that we need to be spotlighting the people who are actually making them, because they are artists and I think they need to be appreciated as such. So without further ado, let's go ahead and open this guy up. There we go. One little slice here. So let's see if that, yeah, that's pretty easy. So I didn't notice it before, but now that the figure and Tornado are gone, you can actually see the giant Z mark back there. And here we have the Zorro, Hero, and Steed box set unleashed from its packaging, ready to avenge old California. So let's talk a little bit about what you get. First things first, it's obvious that a lot of people will be buying this set for Tornado, one of the greatest horses in all of media history. So I am very, very excited to own this. Let's talk just a little bit about the sculpting before we get into accessories or anything like that. Tornado is an incredibly realistic depiction of an actual horse in the 3 3/4 scale. And I absolutely love this because I think with the Vitruvian hack stuff that they did with their horses in that line, Boss Fight has proven that they are the greatest authority on 3 3/4 equestrian representation on the planet, which, you know, nobody even knew was a title until a few years ago. But seriously, though, from each side, you have such a realistic and beautiful depiction of an actual horse, and this is just lovely. You can't get much better than this. When it comes to the faithful recreation of all of the anatomy, of all the different muscle groups and things of that nature, I mean, everything is just perfectly recreated, even the mane, tuft of hair from the front here, and even the tail on the back. I mean, the hooves. It's as much detail as I think anyone could want for a figural representation of a horse, and even beats out some statue representations I see of horses every now and then. So it's really fantastic. But one of the very best things about it is the detail on the saddle, and everything from the stirrups to the buckles to all the ornamentation, the reins with the leather-like texturing. You can even see the leather kind of crisscross down here. I mean, this is as much immaculate detail as you could possibly hope from something like this. And I think it really does Zorro proud. It really does Tornado proud. This is just beautiful. It's as great as you can imagine. I could gush on and on all day about it, but no point in that. You see it for yourself, and I think if a picture is worth 1,000 words, then a video is worth 1,000,000. So let's go ahead and talk about articulation. The actual head portion up here, not the neck, can twist, and you can bring it way up if you want, and bring it way down if you'd like. So used in conjunction with that neck, you can get really low and really high. The one thing that doesn't work is the mouth, and I think that's to make sure that it doesn't break up the sculpt and keeps things fairly realistic. So I do get that. I totally understand that part with the front legs here. And it goes really far in and really far out. I think that's about the physical limit in both ways for realism for a horse. You even get some in and out movement. So you can see that they're just on ball joints in there. Do you see it in there? And you can bring it out about that far. And that is not something I expected. I actually felt that it would just do this up and down because I'd never owned one of these before, like in the Hacks line or anything like that. So I didn't really know what it could do and what it couldn't do. So that was shocking. We get a rotation here. We get a ball jointed hinge. So you can get all sorts of great range right there, but it's not double jointed or anything. But it doesn't have to be because you also have this joint to work with at the hoof, and it can also rotate. Moving on to the back legs, you can go in and out quite a bit. It seems like it goes in more than it does out. That far out, so way out, and about that far in. You also get a up and down movement here at this hinge. You can get this far out, this far back, and you also get a rotation right here. Moving on down, you have a single joint here, and you get it up and down that far, up that far, and it rotates. Down here at the hoof, once again, you have a rotation, and you have a hinge. Up here, the last point of articulation is the tail. You can get a hinge that goes way up, way down, and then the ball joint goes all the way around. So you can have the tail going in whatever direction that you like. Now, the one thing that I will say that doesn't quite work as well as I hoped it would is some of these back legs are a little less stable than the front. So sometimes you'll be trying to do poses and you see how it kind of caves in just a little. But a lot of that is balancing. And when you're trying to get a horse in a natural position, it was more challenging than I thought it would be when you have a horse that actually articulates like an actual horse would. So you have to keep in mind how a horse actually stands and what direction everything is going in. And that's something that I probably need to look at more reference photos to fully appreciate and fully understand. So that's something that I think is more of a criticism of my posing rather than a criticism of the toy. But still, I do wish there was a little bit more tension on the back legs so that it would be a little easier to stand in some particular positions. You can get it, the front hooves just straight up and down works really well too. So you can actually put the tail down to get it more of a relaxed look. It can't account for how the mane is swooshing in the wind up there, but still, it doesn't look half bad. On the other side, the mane looks so different that it's a whole nother look when you just turn it around. So there's lots and lots of different opportunities here. Let's talk about Zorro just very briefly because I already have my past review if you want to see all the detail about Zorro, because this is just a paint variation of that figure with some new elements. So we're just going to focus on talking about the visuals of the figure and not the articulation. First off, I will happily report that this sword was not broken in the package and it's in great shape, and I didn't have any problems with it. As a matter of fact, these feel fairly sturdy, and I even like the gold a lot better than the silver look. So I actually like that sword much, much more than the previous one. The hat is exactly the same, and so is the head. Still very cleanly painted, so I was really appreciative of that. We also have Zorro's whip, which is exactly the same once again. Zorro does come with the two open palmed hands that we talked about in the last Zorro review, and they're exactly the same as what we saw on the previous version. And here's where things get fairly different. We have this whole ensemble that is setting over his shoulders. The original doesn't have anything like this. It's just a regular cape. This is more of the shoulder kind of cape. So this is really cool looking. I really like it. On the back, you can see that it has all this great sculpting, and it looks terrific back there too. I love their choice to include this rather than just do a full-on soft goods cape, because with 3 3/4, I think that a soft goods cape can only do so much to convey wrinkles and folds and things of that nature. This is a best of both worlds approach, and I really appreciate that. So is this thing removable? Yes, it is actually, but I will tell you right now that it is kind of a pain to have to do it. It really is. And that's because it's pegged in on the back, and not only do you have to peg it out, but when you go to put it back in, you also have to follow the guide hole through the soft goods cape that allows that peg to go in. So yes, you can break him down to just the soft goods cape, but it is a very aggravating experience to do so. The last little detail is this red sash here that I really like. Now, this is the exact same sculpting-wise as the previous release, but it's just done in a red color. So I really like that, and to complement it, we have one of my favorite little details that they can put for some reason on a figure. I always love it when they do some kind of striping on the side of the pants. They did this with the Doc Nocturnal that Mezco did, and I always really liked it there. And it shows back up here for this design of Zorro, and I think it just does a lot for him. And this cape, I feel like we do need to talk a little bit more about the soft goods cape. I really enjoy this because you can do so much with it. You can have it just, you know, rest over Zorro just naturally, just let it drape. Or I really like this. You can fold it back on itself and tuck it in to the plastic part at the top. So you can get it something like that that will actually hold back. So I like that. It's a little less natural looking. You can have it folded over one of the arms like this. So it kind of gives Zorro a more mysterious look. You can have this one down. So there's just toying with it and playing with it and getting it to do what you want it to do is part of the fun of this particular release. It's a whole lot of tricking it into doing what you want it to do and putting it in like creases of the elbow and things like that. But I think you'll find your footing with it fairly easily. But as long as this piece is on up here, it severely limits the arm articulation. Going out isn't so bad because you can get pretty much things like that. But trying to go up and down, I mean, this is as much as you're going to get. And going back, that's as much as you're going to get. So a lot of your arm articulation is severely limited by the shoulder cape, but I still really like it. And I'll be honest, just looking at these as two examples of design work, I know which one I would say is a cooler design, just in terms of just a neat action figure design and not factoring in anything about just classic Zorro or knowing what I like and the look of Zorro. I would say it's this one. It's a really striking design. The red sash and the lining on the pants does a lot for it. The gold on the sword does a lot for it. And the combination of the shoulder cape and the soft goods is pretty undeniable when it comes to just a really cool, nice look for Zorro. And we won't go through all of the different looks, but here he is without the hat. So it looks nice. And if you want to have fun and vary things up from the last release, you can take the Don Diego head that does not come with this version. You can pop it on, and you get that. Full disclosure, I did do a little touch-up work on Don Diego's mustache from the previous review, so no, it did not magically get a little bit better. But there we go. That's how he looks there. And I'll tell you, a really cool look that I actually enjoy quite a bit is having him with the hat on in this outfit and without the mask. I don't know, but I've got to say this. Don't take this the wrong way. There is a certain Zorro film starring George Hamilton as Zorro who wears many different colored costumes. And does this not kind of look like George Hamilton? A little bit in one of those Zorro suits, especially from the posters. It won't take you long to find it, but it kind of does look like that, and I sort of love it.
Doesn't that remind you of anyone? Zorro.
Zorro also includes a stand. It has the similar problems that the previous release did, where these pegs are way too big for the peg holes that are in the feet. So it's something they'll probably want to look at. So Tornado here comes with one accessory, that is this base stand here. Now it comes with two different lifts to stand the horse up. Here's this if you want the horse to kind of rear up. So you can, you know, that's what we had him on at the beginning of the review. But it's very tricky to get him on here because this isn't quite wide enough, I don't think, to support the front of the horse body. So you can switch that out. Now, I finally got it out of there, but it was incredibly unpleasant, and I thought I was going to break it the whole way. So if I were them, I'd probably make this a little less tight or something. And if I were you guys, I would probably use a blow dryer to get this thing out. So the best method I've found, and I now have the shorter one in there, to get these in without breaking them, is to put it off to the side and use your thumb and press this bottom part into it until it goes in. And we can take this and we can just put Tornado in a neutral position using this level of stand. It works fairly well, and it's plenty wide enough for the part of the horse that this is supposed to support. So we'll get Tornado in a pose there. And now we're going to put Zorro on. So once you have the rein in his hand, it can look about like that, depending on what way you want Zorro to be steering Tornado. Just so that you can see, it is possible to put Zorro's feet in the stirrups. However, there is no magic way to do this to keep them from coming out or keep them in a little bit better I guess the best advice I could probably give you is to angle the feet down, and they seem to hold the stirrups in a little bit better. But they do have a tendency to come out if you're not careful, but you can really get them to looking pretty natural. Now, the stand can be angled either way, so you can angle it forward right there, and that gives plenty of good support, or you can angle it back. Now, me personally, I sort of prefer to go back with it. I kind of feel like it just sets more naturally that way. And that stand just takes some of the pressure off of the legs from having them perfect like I was talking about earlier. And I think it would have been nicer if the stand had some kind of plug-in point at the bottom of the horse, and I think that way you could be a little more adventurous with some of your posing. Not only do you get the chance to own a super detailed 3 3/4 scale horse, but you also get the chance to own another version of one of your favorite characters, and in this case, Zorro. And it's not just a throwaway version either. They made sure that this is a really cool, kind of unique design, and it's more pulpy than the previous release. And it almost looks like something you might see in a Zorro comic book of some sort, or something Alex Toth would have drawn, or maybe something, if it was in color, that Douglas Fairbanks would have worn. So it does put you in the mind of more of a pulpy kind of serial Zorro, something that you might have seen from days gone by. So I know that one question a lot of people are going to have is, can I take the standard Zorro and put him on Tornado? Well, not exactly, because of the hard plastic cape that he's wearing. It's not going to work too well. Of course, you could put him down like that, and I suppose it might be serviceable, but you would actually have to remove the cape so that he could actually be on Tornado. Or I would say that the option that Boss Fight intends for you to take is to actually just remove this and put it on the standard Zorro. Since I filmed that previous review, I finally remembered what it was really putting me in the mind of, and maybe more than any other live-action interpretation, it was making me think of the Family Channel Zorro. That was a great show and was the first version of Zorro I ever saw when I was a kid.
Now, yes.
And watched that a lot with my brother.
Whoa.
I really do think that both of these releases are, excuse the pun, dynamite. If you've been looking at any of those Zorro comics. But seriously, they're fantastic. And I think that Boss Fight's done a great job. It would have been really unfortunate if they hadn't got a chance to go ahead and do Tornado just as soon as they did a Zorro, because Zorro is even more so, I think, than like the Phantom or especially like Tarzan. I think that the horse is an intrinsic part of who Zorro is. So I really do think that this is great, and they've done a wonderful job. The Hero and Steed set from Boss Fight Studios for Zorro and Tornado will cost you about $50, or at least that's how much it cost me. Of course, guys, there's plenty more reviews of hero hacks and many other great collectible items here on the channel, and the only way that you're going to be the first to know about those is if you subscribe, and of course click that bell so that you can get notifications about any future videos. We're growing and doing videos all the time here, so we hope that you're going to be a part of that growth and that you can join our team, because we really need you to keep this channel going. Guys, thank you so much for watching. As always, be safe out there. God bless you and yours, and I'll see you on Fanboys Forever. Fanboy out.